In this video, we're going to look at hardwired biases to be aware of in trading. Stay tuned. Hey traders, a very warm welcome to you. Okay, so hardwired biases. Now we all know, we're probably aware that, hey, we've got a couple of sides to our brain. We've got the chimp side or the lizard side, which is really hardwired to avoid loss. It's hardwired to seek shelter, to seek food, to seek this, which is why we often have this real attachment to money, as opposed to we're trying to grow, we're trying to take risks, we're trying to do this as traders, trying to run profits, trying to do all the things we want to do as traders, but we're trying to battle our inner chimp. And actually that brings me to this book, which I mentioned before, well worth reading if you haven't read it yet. I don't think I've read this one, I've listened to it on Audible a couple of times. The Chimp Paradox, Mind Management, well worth looking at. Kind of addresses this sort of thing we'll talk about in this video, so go and check that one out. I think I've mentioned it before. Anyway, let's move on. So some things we've got to be aware of in our hardwired biases, and let me use some tips and tricks to get around these. So number one, the first one is removing the language of not or don't. Now, listen, for me, you've got to kind of look at the risk reward of doing these kind of things. You may say, hey, you know what, that's going to make absolutely zero difference to the way you trade, but it literally costs nothing to do. It takes nothing to do it, and you might see results out of it. So in my eyes, why not do it? What do I mean by this? So very often our self-talk is, hey, don't hold on to losing trades, don't chase trades, don't do this, don't do that, I must not do this. And we're always kind of putting a negative spin on what we're trying to achieve. Why not wrap it around the other way? Because the mind doesn't really respond well to negatives. I'm not one for saying, hey, you've just got to just say positive all the time and just kind of feed that. I believe that helps, but also believe we can't trick our minds. But we can kind of influence the way our thought process works, especially in trading. So rather than saying, hey, don't chase the market, I will buy the market on a pullback, or I'll only buy the market when it retraces. Just exactly the same thing you're saying, you're just reframing it differently. And studies have been done outside of trading that these negatives, these sort of stacks of negatives we have, really don't influence the brain in the way that we want them to. And so if we can make these little tiny wins just by changing the language, it's great. Hey, is this going to make you into Paul Tudor Jones overnight? I doubt it. But you know what? It's easy to do. It's easy to put into your trading plan. It's easy to put when you're writing down your trades. It's easy to kind of change your self-talk. And actually, I'll give you this challenge. Go away now and just try and monitor your self-talk. And I will bet that very often you're using a lot of negative terms. Don't, not, can't, this kind of stuff. And just try to flip it around a little bit. Is it going to revolutionize your trading? No. But we're stacking up layers of positivity to hopefully, get rid of these hardwired or overcome these hardwired biases. We're never going to get rid of them. They're there. They're evolution purposes. That's why they're there. But for trading, they kind of hinder us. So we're going to try and hack our way around them. All right. One of the things that we often do as traders is, because we have a massive hardwired loss avoidance, because money is associated with shelter, it's associated with food. We have that as human beings, and without those things, we wouldn't survive. We are always avoiding loss. Now, we know as traders, we don't want to avoid loss. Yes, we don't want too many of them, but it's part of the game. And, we might have a string of 4 losers in a row before we get a good one that gives us a 10-to-1 risk reward and ultimately makes us money at the back end. So it's very difficult to overcome that. So often we fall into the trap of trading not to lose. Okay, I'm not going to lose money today. I'm not going to lose money this month. And, we come back to the first point of not, rather than I'm going to make money. I'm going to do this, because obviously the opposite of losing is making. So why do we put a negative spin on it when we should be trading to make money? So putting it back into the context of kind of operational perspective, we're trading not to lose. Very frequently, we might go into the day or into the week or into the month, whatever it may be, saying, okay, I'm not going to lose any money. And our focus then is not loss. And so we are completely wired the wrong way. A trade is going our way. It's pulling back a little bit back to our entry point. We know that as traders, we probably should be holding that because it's a good trade. It's not ever, but because we're trading not to lose, we're just taking that profit, a very small profit, and we're not allowing the trade to mature. So we've got to watch out for that hardwired bias, because the pain of loss a study showed that the pain of loss was 2.5 times greater than the joy of a win. So if someone won 1,000, put that on a scale, you know, they gave it a 1 on the scale. But if someone lost 1,000, then it would be, the pain would be 2.5 times that feeling of pleasure, if that makes sense. So obviously, hardwired, we're going to try to avoid loss. And so trading not to lose is a trap that we can often fall into. I know it's something that I've definitely fallen into before. Like, I got to be careful, got to stop this, and you fall into negative kind of self-talk and you're trading not to lose. It never works that way. It never ever works, because you always end up doing the wrong thing. You're approaching it wrong. When you do lose, you're kind of, oh, I said not to do that. It just never ever helps. So always reframing it of trading to make money, of trading to win. Yes, of course, managing the risk. We've got to do that from an operational perspective of trading, but not having that as a focus. All right. Large loss, risk aversion, not holding. If we unfortunately have a large loss, whether that be from one loss or multiple losses, then we are hardwired to be even more risk averse. So we may see a trade going in our way, in our favor, and then we might grab that profit quickly because we don't want to see that loss again. You know, that hurt us, that damaged us, that did us mental damage, capital damage, and, you know, like I say, in terms of evolution, maybe we're mirroring it with, you know, loss of food, loss of shelter. And so the next time we have a trade, we do not want to lose. We're going back to this point of trade not to lose. We're grabbing profits when we're there. We don't want to put more risk on when the time's right. You know, we're not holding for the big wins because we're grabbing it. We just want to, you know, get that feel good win situation. And it just never ever works well for trading at all, does it? Just never works well for trading. Okay, the last one we've got here is the reward of the win. The reward of the win is known to be the most kind of biggest thing that we have as human beings. We love the reward of the win. That's why casinos set it up so that it's very, very slim edge, but it's playing the game, the reward of the win. But in trading, we know it's not about the frequency of the win, it's about how much we make over the period of time we're doing the trades. Best traders in the world are always saying, hey, I'm looking for the best risk-reward ratio. Losing, 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 losing. Big winner overcomes all those losses and makes massive amounts more. That's the game of the game we're trying to do. And it's easy to fall into the trap of the hardwired bias of looking for the quick win, the win, the win, the win. So the frequency goes up with trading. We're looking for the win, the win. And unfortunately, again, it's kind of all wrapped up into one. When trades go our way, we want to grab that feeling of the win as opposed to letting it run and letting it actually create wealth for our account, grow our account. So just watching out for that one as well. That's a trap that's very easy to fall into, especially if you're a day trader. All right, guys, those are just a few of the hardwired biases we've got to be aware of. Removing that is a good kind of hack to get around it if you can. Trading not to lose, being cautious, not falling into that trap and avoiding the pain of loss when in fact we want to seek loss, small loss, that's fine. And hardwired loss avoidance, we just talked about that one. Large loss, remembering if you've had a large loss, you're going to be very, very sensitive to loss after that. So doing something to manage that, to be able to still seek risk as opposed to being very, very shy of risk. And then reward of the win, the constant need for action and the win, the win, the win, the win, the win, as opposed to what we really want, which is the big win or the big winners over time, which are going to undo multiple small losers. But all we want at the end of the day is to make as much money as we possibly can in the market. All right, guys, thumbs up for that kind of stuff. See you next one. Take care. Bye-bye.